Hey guys, this is Jill. On Sunday morning, I am just going live, very impromptu. I did not make an announcement about this, but I did want to let you know I had shared a link in the group about Trekell brushes being on sale this weekend, and they are. However, I did want to point out that the number 0 rigger brush, that's the one that I use, and I've got it right here. This is the smaller of the two. This is the number 0 rigger that I've been using in the demos, and I actually have a number 2 rigger in my toolkit that I had kind of forgotten about. So I just wanted to get them out and kind of do a side-by-side comparison right quick, just even for myself, and so I just thought I would share it with you. You can see that the number 2, if you look closely, the ferrules, gosh, they're almost identical. There might be, I thought that the number 2 was maybe like a millimeter or two larger, but they're nearly identical. But the number 2, it does have longer bristles, and it does have more strands, more hairs actually, in the ferrule. So I know that's going to make a difference in the way that the brush behaves, and so I thought I'd just kind of do a little test right here, just on a little scratch sheet. So I'm going to start with my 0. Okay, this is my 0. I'm just going to load it up with some color here. Let's see, I'll just get some of this was kind of wet. This was the pink color that I was using earlier. And so let's just kind of watch and see. So I can make, really fine lines with my 0. Very, very fine. I can just kind of keep going and going. It holds a lot of pigment. And I can just go and go and go with that. That's what's so great about the rigger. You can do such fine lines and just sort of keep going and going and going. All right, so that's the 0. All right, so I want to try the same sort of technique with my number 2 rigger. When it's wet, you can see, let's get them sort of side by side. There we go. You can see the number 2, it's a bigger brush. See, it's full of water and it has kind of swelled up a little bit. It is larger, so I know it's going to give me a larger line, but I kind of wanted to just see and compare if it would do something, how wide or how thin can I get it, so that's not bad. Okay, very light pressure to get that fine line. I'm not adding a lot of pressure. This is interesting. This is kind of what I'm finding here. I can almost get a same diameter fine line, but look at the pigment's a little bit darker. It's carrying more pigment, okay? I'm going to load it up a little bit more. I'm sorry, I'm hand holding this, and I should have set it up a little bit better. I was kind of on the fly here. All right, so I can still make some fine lines. I do have to be careful with my pressure to keep it as delicate as the 0, when I'm using this number 2 script. But it does give me a pretty fine line compared to the 0. Let me try loading the 0 brush just a little bit more. It's still never going to hold as much as the number 2, but I just want to, this is what experimenting is for, right? So, oopsie, I'm sorry, I'm probably making you car sick. I'm not meaning to. All right, if I really load this up, I can still get a little bit more intense line. There's the 0 really loaded up. And I can compare that to the number 2 loaded up. Look how the number 2 is really, really putting down a lot more pigment, but still with a pretty fine line, okay? If I wanted to, with the 0, I can kind of lay it down, and I can get a pretty broad line if I wanted to. That's typically not the way that I'm using a rigger brush, but, just for the sake of comparison, I'm going to do the same thing with my number 2. So I'm loading it up with some more pigment. And let's see how big of a line I can get if I just really... Okay, again, it's not terribly larger, but look how much pigment. It really does lay the pigment down. So these two brushes behave very differently just because of the size. And just like with any rigger brush, It's the length, okay? It's the length of the bristle that's holding lots of pigment and water to carry the load. And then you've got that fine tip to just keep creating all of this nice line work. You know, if you have a tiny brush, let's see, I should have had one available so I could kind of compare. Let me see if I've got one here. No, I don't. Hold on. I'm willing to go get something. Hold on. I'm just going to set this here. Okay, so this is what I was talking about the other day. All right, so if you've got, like, we've all kind of used one of these little brushes before. You know, let me get it in the camera. All right, little tiny detail brush, and we're all thinking, yay, that's going to make a tiny line. And it will, but for about 2 seconds. And, you know, I actually kind of have this little brush on hand. I use it mostly for like a little masking brush for tiny little specks, but let's just kind of treat it, you know, as if we were, you know, thinking that we were going to load it up with paint and paint with it. I just want to show you the difference between, you know, trying to use a little detailer like this, you know, just trying to use this tiny little brush instead of a rigger. I'm going to come over here. It will give me, yes, it'll give me some fine lines, but I'm already about to run out of paint. I haven't even done anything, and I'm just about, it's starting to give me little dry, just dry little marks. See how the lines are drying out? Oops, let me get it focused. It has almost, it's almost dried up. You can see white paper coming through, whereas lines made with the rigger brush, they're full of pigment, full of color. These are even still wet, actually, from the number 2, but they just continue to lay down long streaks of pigment without running out. See, there's nothing in this tiny little brush. There's no reservoir to hold any pigment. It's just the tip. That's all you're left with. And the rigger gives you that nice tip, but then the length of the bristle is what provides you with a reservoir for your pigment or your water, depending on what you're wanting to deliver. So anyway, just because I had shared with you the link for the Trekell brushes, I just wanted you to compare, you know, before you went and bought a number 2, just so that you could see what's going on. Apparently they have sold out of the 0. This is my 0. It's been with me for a while. I've actually rubbed the paint off of it. You can see a little remnant of a 0 on there. But anyway, that's all I had for you guys. I just wanted to share that with you. I hope that's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.